final quarter begins right now.
Aztecs with 2 rushing touchdowns tonight. Can they get a third? And it's Christian Washington in for the 3rd rushing touchdown of the night for San Diego State, and they lead it 34-0.
San Diego State opens a can of Aztecs' fast offense and dominant defense in a 42-0 shellacking of Stony Brook in their season opener, getting the 2nd year of Sean Lewis's tenure off to an impressive start. Welcome to the final quarter on CBS 8+. John Howard here along with Karthik Venkatraman. Karthik, initial thoughts on the Aztecs?
They won 42-0. They covered the spread by double, and that's a good way to start the season, John.
You can't get much better than that, and we will have much more on the Aztecs momentarily, but we start by picking up the Padres' pursuit of the National League West Division title. 28 games to go in the season. Padres 2 games out of first. K-Man, plenty of time to overcome the Dodgers, but what's going to happen?
Well, after this news that just came out just a couple of minutes ago, maybe the people will get it a little later than we're getting it, but Xander Bogaerts placed on the 10-day IL with a non-displaced foot fracture after he bounced one off of his foot in Wednesday's game against the Mariners. So how long is he going to be out? That's the big part of the lineup that's now missing. I know, people have had their hot takes about him, about, he hasn't performed well. He's been performing extremely well over the last couple of months for the Padres, bringing that slugging for them, and now he's injured, and this goes with the injuries that they've already had. Michael King injured with the left knee inflammation. How much longer will he be out for? Jackson Merrill should be back soon coming off of that ankle injury, but he's gone through a few injuries this year. When you talk about the, the different kinds of the concussion, the ankle, he also, the hamstring issue that he had earlier in the year. So he's gone through it, and can the Padres get healthy? Now all of a sudden, they went out of that Dodgers, the 6 games that they played over 2 weekends. And with that series of those 2 different series, they came out tied and then, dropped 2 of 3 against the Mariners, and Dodgers take care of business against the Reds. And then now all of a sudden we're sitting here and we're saying, okay, well, the Dodgers have really a 3-game lead because they own the tiebreaker, so 2 games in the division plus, if they were to be tied, the Dodgers still hold, so the Padres would have to win the division. Now you're seeing another major injury for the Padres. Don't know how long it's going to be. I'm not a doctor, but just looking it up on how long a non-displaced foot fracture takes to heal. It's going to be some weeks, and they moved Ramon Laureano up in the lineup for this Friday game against the Twins to kind of place where Bogaerts normally would bat in the lineup, and Jose Iglesias, great defender and shortstop, but Padres still have things to figure out, and this is already with them trying to figure out what they're going to do in their lineup. They're shuffling all the new pieces that they still got from the trade deadline, John. It seems like just another more questions than, solidified answers as we get closer to the postseason.
Yeah, you want the team to be playing really well right now, and I don't know that we can say that they are after what they did against the 6 games against the Dodgers and then the series against the Mariners. And then you also look at guys like Yu Darvish and Dylan Cease. Are these guys going to be reliable starters going into the postseason? I mean, Yu Darvish has an ERA of 5.66. I know he doesn't have a full season under his belt. He has had his moments. Dylan Cease has had his moments too. But I don't know how strong this rotation is going to be. You mentioned Michael King, and suddenly that's a big question mark as they approach the postseason.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel maybe a little more confident, still working his way back, hasn't hit the deeper pitch count yet, still probably working through some consistency because he did miss a lot, of the season so far. Dylan Cease is maybe more of a question mark for me because every single time it feels like he's going to get it going, he then doesn't have it going, continuing to give up the home runs a little bit, and that's really kind of been the big blunder on his resume so far this year because it feels like a lot of these games, he goes in, he's strong through the first couple innings, then inning 4 or 5 comes along, and it seems like he kind of loses his stuff a little, lays one over the plate, and then opposing hitters are taking advantage of him. So he's more of a question mark for me. Obviously, the bullpen's great. If they can get guys to go 5, those 5 innings, 6 innings, they're in great condition based off of how deep their bullpen is. It's just the matter of can they?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here are the National League West standings as we look at them again. 2 games back. I remember 3-4 months ago when this was a 4-horse race. The Giants and Diamondbacks obviously have fallen away back, and the Rockies with a big fat E. They have officially been eliminated from postseason play. But again, Dodgers and Padres, and Karthik, like you mentioned, Padres are 2 games back, but if they finish the season tied, the Dodgers have the tiebreaker advantage by a long shot. So it really is a 3-game lead if the Padres want to win the National League West title.
Yeah, for sure. And, the NL wild card's very much so in play for the top spot. They're right there neck and neck with the Cubs for that top spot of the NL wild card. I know obviously the thing is to win the division, but I think, the bigger thing for me, harping on it again, you got to get healthy and you got to figure out what this lineup's going to look like as we go to the postseason, where as we're recording, this 28 games to go till the postseason, and another major injury in Xander Bogaerts, and how long is it going to take for him to heal? That's another huge piece in a bat because, that's one of those positions that they're not as deep, right? We see Jackson Merrill go out. You slide Ramon Laureano over to center, and Gavin Sheets can bring the bat. You can put him in left field, and he plays pretty good defense. He's definitely held his own over there. But shortstop, unless you're willing to slide Fernando Tatis Jr. in there or Jackson Merrill to the shortstop, which is not going to happen. They're kind of thin on the offensive side of that position. Obviously, I don't think they want to be playing Jose Iglesias, game in and game out to, because he's just not as consistent of a hitter, and he doesn't have the slugging as a Xander Bogaerts does. So it's big. It's a big part of the lineup, and we'll see how it all kind of shakes out as we move forward here.
That would be quite the entertaining thing to see Fernando Tatis moved back to shortstop. But I agree with you. I don't think that's going to happen. Let's go to the next week or so, the next two series for both the Padres and the Dodgers. The Friars play 3 at Minnesota and 3 at home against Baltimore. The Dodgers 3 home against Arizona and then 3 at Pittsburgh. And Karthik, when I look at this, I give the advantage to the Padres. Minnesota and Baltimore are a combined 37 games below 500. Arizona, they're a closer to 500 team. Pittsburgh's pretty bad this year. But perhaps the Padres can pick up maybe at least one game on the Dodgers over these next 6 games. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And, when the Dodgers are playing another NL West team, things can get wacky. And those two teams have, the Diamondbacks and Dodgers have played some wacky games this year. The Padres could make some ground up, and these are the two teams with some of the easiest schedules in the MLB going down the stretch, with the Padres having pretty much the easiest. They play some of the worst teams in the MLB over from this series on through the month of September, and so the Padres could very well make ground. It's just a matter of, are they going to, with missing these pieces that I keep saying? And, I think the Padres have the ability to make ground. The Twins and the, Orioles are, two very winnable series, at least if you don't, come out with the sweep out of one of them. And, the Dodgers have an easy one against the Pirates, but the Diamondbacks one may be a little more tricky. So we'll see if the Padres are able to make up some ground here.
Yeah, in our graphic, there are 27 to go. I think it's 28 to go, but either way, 2 games out. Plenty of time to reach and pass the Dodgers, but you got to win to do it. All right, let's change gears now. College football. The Aztecs couldn't have asked for a much better season opener, crushing Stony Brook 42-0. Before we break it down, some initial thoughts from the head coach.
Proud of the effort from the guys tonight. Obviously, anytime that you can pitch a shutout, you're doing some things that are really good. Really proud of the leadership from Coach Orich. Pretty neat for him, for the boys to rally around him and get a shutout as, DC for the first opportunity here with the Aztecs. Pleased with the way that the offense started the game. Overall in the third quarter, some things obviously that we need to clean up. That was not to our standard, and gather the team up there at one point in time to remind them of how we do it and why we do it, and that the scoreboard is a direct reflection, right, obviously, of how we go about our business, and we didn't do that the right way in the third quarter. But grateful to take the first step and to get the first win against a really good team. That's a good team that's going to have a great year, and excited about how much better we can get as well as we go forward, which will be really cool to see.
All right, Karthik, let's start with the quarterbacks. Jaden Denegal, the transfer from Michigan, looked solid as a starter. Some accuracy problems at times, but all in all, I was encouraged by what I saw.
Yeah, he's got a big arm. He's got the tools. He definitely looks different than San Diego State quarterbacks in recent years for this program. A little concerned playing against an FCS opponent that his completion percentage wasn't higher than, I believe, 52% that it was.
Yep.
He had some balls that could have very well been interceptions, which is not super encouraging from my end. It is his first time playing in a real game with this Aztecs team. It's still an FCS opponent, though, and I think he probably should have taken a little more advantage, and he's had, quite some time to work with this team. It's not like he came, just in the fall. He was here in the spring as well. So this is a guy that I want to see develop more, hit his pass accuracy a little more. He was under 50% until pretty much towards the end of the game, and he was able to climb over 50%. So can he kind of be in that, more, the higher the completion percentage, the better for the team, especially when you're talking about Aztecs fast, wanting to play no huddle, move the ball. That's the kind of things. But Very encouraged in the second half. Had a great pass to Donovan Brown for 44 yards down the sideline, showing off that big arm talent. If he's able to do that, good for him.
Yeah, and a quick correction, Denegal 13 of 25. Whoever's typing our graphics had fat thumbs. That'd be myself. Here's Coach Lewis with his thoughts on Denegal.
He missed a couple throws, missed a couple reads, but all in all, he made the majority of the right decisions. He executed and made the majority of the throws, and there'll be lots that we'll learn from as he continues to, have this volume of plays and have this time on task with this collection of talent. And, I feel good about where we're at and him leading us going forward.
All right, and a note on Denegal, just 4 plays into the opening drive, tweaked his left shoulder. Weird-looking injury because it didn't look too severe. He would leave the game, come back in, and then 2 plays later would finish the drive for the touchdown. Late in the third quarter, though, check him out on this touchdown run by Lucky Sutton. In the foreground, Denegal is going to be visibly dealing with the pain in the shoulder. So number 2 on the depth chart, Bert Emanuel, would come out, play all of the fourth quarter. And Karthik, I thought he looked pretty good as well.
Yeah, for sure. Bert Emanuel is a guy that Sean Lewis has been saying, even though he didn't win the starting quarterback position, very talented, still going to find ways to put him on the field to perform. We'll have to keep an eye on that Denegal injury. Maybe that is part of the reason why his completion percentage was down. I don't want to completely blame it on that because he also showed that he could make some great throws, overall. And, after that, he threw for a touchdown pass 25 yards to a wide open Bostic, hit that, 44-yard gainer to Donovan Brown. I think we'll see. Obviously you don't want him to be hurt. It's better not to be hurt, and especially this early in the season, you don't want the wear and tear already showing for your new QB. We'll see how Denegal's injury progresses as we move forward.
Yeah, Emanuel, 4 rushes for 24 yards rushing. He is known as the guy that can really open up the offense with the run attack. So on that topic, let's move to the running backs. Lucky Sutton out of Cathedral Catholic, the starter, but based on what we saw last night, this is going to be a running back by committee. What do you think, K-Man?
Yeah, for sure. I think Lucky Sutton probably gets the most carries, 105 rushing yards, a couple of touchdowns kind of showed that. I think he had like 89 rushing yards in the first half, so he really showed he was a workhorse. He puts his shoulder down and he likes to bulldoze over some people. He really runs tough, man. I like what I've seen out of Sutton, but some of those other guys that they got, transfer portal or, just depth-wise, I think, this is a strong running back room. They're all from San Diego, so that's pretty cool too. The guys that they put out on the field over there last night, and they have all different assets. Sutton's kind of more of that bruiser. Caldwell can kind of get out in space a little bit, so we'll see what they're able to produce as we move forward. But a good start, and the offensive line's a little bulkier this season, which always helps.
Yeah, 5 different guys carried the ball last night, 7 if you count the 2 quarterbacks, 226 yards rushing. Wow. All right, and how about the Aztecs defense? We knew they'd be good coming in. Karthik, they absolutely delivered.
Yeah, for sure. Tano Latuli was all over the field making some great tackles. I really liked what I saw out of August Salvati. He had 1.5 sacks in the game, kind of picking up where Trey White maybe left off last year, but really getting to the quarterback, really strong motor it looked like, which was pretty cool to see. Trey White, speaking of, had a couple of good defensive plays. QB hit a couple times, got the rush on. So this defense looked really strong. And when you allow somebody sub 100 yards, I think 95 total yards on offense, in your first game, FCS or FBS. I mean, Stony Brook's got some good players, especially that running back. And for them to have done what they did. Even if it is an FCS opponent in the first game of the season, I thought the defense looked really strong. It was the strong point for me through the whole entire game.
Yeah, and from what I understand, Stony Brook was a team that averaged some 30 points a game last year. So defense looks great for San Diego State. Aztecs' next game, Saturday, September 6th at Washington State. I think the man with the toughest assignment in that game, Sean Lewis, he's got to mentally prepare his team for the rise in talent from Stony Brook to Washington State. Your thoughts on this, Karthik? Can they come away with a big win on the road?
Last year, it was a crazy, wild, wacky game, man, and that game was at Snapdragon Stadium, I know, and I think it's possible that the Aztecs are able to go in there and get a win if their defense performs like they did. I think that's a huge step in the right direction. Washington State's faced a lot of turmoil in the offseason coming into this season. So what's their program going to be like? Are they going to be ready for that step? Maybe San Diego State feeling pretty confident after their 42-0 victory. Once again, even if it was against an FCS opponent, a good FCS opponent, and now they're going over to Washington State. And if they can pull off that win in Pullman, that'd be a great start to the season.
Yeah, we wish them the best of luck. Let's change gears now to a football of another kind, Major League Soccer, and the San Diego Football Club continues to impress, clinching a playoff spot, again, still in first place as a expansion franchise. Just an amazing first year.
Yeah, for sure. San Diego FC coming off maybe a little bit of a tough result last week, getting that tie that they just didn't want. They had some missed opportunities that they could have probably found in the back of the net, just weren't able to. And because of it, they lost first place in the Supporters Shield, still first place in the Western Conference. Still sitting there in their tight, looking good. They still have 6 games to go in MLS play, so we'll see what they're able to do. A little bit of a break coming up here after this game against LAFC. This LAFC match is going to be pretty wild. LAFC's kind of, tinkered a little bit, in between with some not so great teams that are not currently playoff teams, I should say, coming up with some ties and, not fantastic results. They did pick up 1 win, I think, recently against the New England Revolution, but they also had a major injury loss today to Igor Jesus, who's out for the rest of the season. People might remember that he picked up that red card in the first time San Diego FC and LAFC played earlier this year in the 53rd minute, where that really helped give San Diego FC the advantage down the stretch to win that crazy game where SDFC got up 3-0, then all of a sudden it became 3-2, and then SDFC was holding on what it felt like for their dear lives for the rest of that game. But so we'll see. We'll see what San Diego FC is able to do. Should be able to pick up a win, and if they do pick up the win, would be huge for them because they would tie that MLS record for the most wins by an expansion team in their first season with 17, tying St. Louis City SC's record. So we'll see if they're able to get that done with what would be a huge win over LAFC this weekend. And
we do have a graphic previewing that LAFC matchup. Hopefully there are no spelling or typo errors in this one. I'm surprised it's such a late game, 7:45 p.m.
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday. Yeah, what in the world? It's going to be a late weekend partying for all the soccer fans. All right, we are going to go back to the Aztecs game for the final word on the final quarter here. It goes to CBS 8 photographer Todd Ward. In the never-ending pursuit of bringing viewers the best in quality video, Todd took the field to put you, the viewer, right next to the team as they took the field for the start of the game. However, sometimes things don't go as planned. Todd Ward getting the money shot, the dedicated Aztec staff taking the field. Karthik?
It's pretty funny. I mean, yesterday I was anchoring, and usually we want like an establishing shot before the highlights, and I was hoping it'd be the team coming out of the tunnel. Did not end up being the team coming out of the tunnel because they were just lost in the smoke. But hey, man, at least they brought the smoke last night in that 42-0 victory over Stony Brook. But yeah, a little funny, little happening right by the tunnel where all the smoke was coming out.
Yes, and Todd Ward brought the smoke as well. He just didn't get the team taking the field, but he did do a great job shooting the highlights for us. So, Todd, congratulations on getting the final word on the final quarter. And that's a wrap. On behalf of Karthik Venkatraman, I'm John Howard. Next week, Jake Garriani will join us, I think, from Brazil as he travels with the Chargers. Enjoy your time. We'll see you next time right here on the final quarter on CBS 8+.